Thinking about moving to the Denver metro area? Before you pack a single box, there are 10 things you absolutely need to understand, especially if you want to make a smart financial decision. I'm Chrissie Hopper, real estate agent here in the Denver metro area, and I help buyers and sellers navigate this market every day. Let's get into it. Tip 1, cost of living. If you're thinking about moving to Denver, one of the biggest things to understand is the cost of living. And the biggest factor by far is housing. Compared to the national average, the cost of living in Denver is about 9 to 10% higher. A lot of that comes from housing prices, which tend to be the largest expense for most people moving here. Now, when you compare that to some of the more expensive markets in the country, Denver still looks pretty reasonable. For example, the Bay Area in California is roughly 60 to 64% higher than the national average. So while Denver isn't the cheapest place to live, it's still far more affordable than many major coastal cities. Outside of housing, everyday costs like groceries, gas, and utilities are usually pretty close to the national average. You might see some slight differences, but they're generally not dramatically higher. And there's a reason so many people are willing to pay a little more to live here. Denver offers over 300 days of sunshine a year, quick access to the mountains, incredible outdoor recreation, and a lifestyle that's hard to match in many other cities. But before you start falling in love with a specific neighborhood or home, the most important thing is understanding your budget and how far it goes in this market. Because at the end of the day, the best move you can make is this. Know your numbers before you fall in love with a neighborhood. Tip 2. Home prices vary dramatically by area. One mistake a lot of buyers make when they're looking at the Denver area is assuming it's all one housing market. But the reality is home prices can vary dramatically depending on where you are. For example, in Denver proper, often come with a different price point than homes in places like Highlands Ranch, Parker, or Arvada. Each area has its own mix of housing styles, lot sizes, commute patterns, and neighborhood amenities. Some buyers want to be closer to the city with walkable neighborhoods and older homes with character. Others prefer newer communities with larger homes, more space, and quieter suburban streets. Because of those differences, the same budget can get you very, very different homes depending on the location. You might see headlines online or on Zillow saying that Denver home prices are up or Denver home prices are down, but those headlines are usually looking at the metro area as a whole, and that can be very misleading. Some neighborhoods might be very competitive with homes selling quickly, while other areas may have more inventory and slower activity. The truth is, the Denver metro housing market isn't just one market. It's dozens of smaller markets, each with its own trends, pricing, and buyer demand. So if you're thinking about moving here, it's really important to look at the specific neighborhoods that fit your lifestyle and budget, not just the big headlines. Because where you buy can make a huge difference in what your money actually gets you. Tip 3, Colorado property tax structure. One thing that surprises a lot of people when they move to Colorado is how property taxes work here. Overall, Colorado property taxes are actually lower than the national average, but there is an important detail that buyers need to understand, especially when looking at newer homes. And that's something called metro districts. Metro districts are common in newer communities around the Denver metro area. They're used by developers to help pay for infrastructure like roads, water systems, parks, and neighborhood improvements when a community is built. The way those costs get paid back is through property taxes. So two homes with the same price can sometimes have very different property tax bills depending on whether they're in a metro district or not. In some cases, metro district taxes can add several $1,000s per year to a homeowner's cost. That's why it's really important to look at the full tax structure of a property before making a decision. The other thing buyers often encounter in suburban neighborhoods is HOAs. Many newer communities have homeowners associations that help maintain common areas, landscaping, neighborhood amenities, and sometimes even things like snow removal. Some HOAs are very minimal, while others include pools, clubhouses, or community parks. The key is understanding both the property taxes and the HOA structure before you buy, so there are no surprises later. Because in Colorado, two homes that look very similar on the surface can have very different monthly ownership costs. Tip number 4, traffic. Traffic can be difficult sometimes in the Denver metro area. We are a busy metropolitan area with tons of different suburbs and towns. Now, we do have some main highways and a lot of highways to get you around. Our main I-70 corridor is going to run east to west. Now, that is going to lead us into the mountains, and we are a big ski-friendly state here in Colorado. A lot of times that's why people are moving here. So mountain traffic can get heavy over the weekends for those ski weekends. Now, running north to south is going to be I-25, and that can be busy at times as it is the main highway that runs from north to south through Colorado. Now, there is going to be more heavy traffic when you get towards the downtown area of Denver and the tech center, which is a little bit south of Denver. But there is always tons of highways that interconnect, so you're able to get where you need to go very quickly. Tip 5, weather expectations. If you're thinking about moving to Denver, you've probably heard the phrase 300 days of sunshine a year. And surprisingly, that part is actually pretty true. Denver gets a lot of sun, even during the winter months. It's very common to have a snowstorm one day and bright sunshine the next, which is one of the reasons people say the winters here feel a little easier than in many other parts of the country. Another thing people notice quickly is how fast the snow melts. Because of the sunshine and the altitude, snow often melts within a day or two, especially on roads and sidewalks. It's very different from places where snow can stick around for weeks at a time. But there is one part of winter that people moving here sometimes underestimate: winter driving. Even though the snow may melt quickly, when storms first come through, the roads can get slick, traffic slows down, and commuting can take longer than usual. That's why many locals keep a good set of tires on their car and pay close attention to weather forecasts during the winter months. The good news is that major storms usually pass quickly, and the sunshine returns pretty fast afterward. So the big takeaway is this: Denver really does have a lot of sunshine. The snow usually doesn't stick around long, but winter driving is still something you want to be prepared for. Like a lot of things about living here, it's all about knowing what to expect before you make the move. Tip 6, urban versus suburban lifestyle. One of the biggest decisions people face when moving to the Denver area isn't just which house to buy, it's choosing between an urban lifestyle and a suburban one. And the difference between the two can be pretty significant. Living in Denver proper has a very distinct vibe. Neighborhoods closer to downtown tend to be more walkable, with restaurants, coffee shops, parks, and local businesses all within a short distance. Areas like this often attract people who enjoy being close to the action and having things to do right outside their door. But with that convenience usually comes a trade-off. Homes closer to the city tend to be smaller, lots are tighter, and prices per square foot are often higher. When you move out into the suburbs, the lifestyle changes quite a bit. You'll typically find more space, newer homes, quieter streets, and often larger yards. Many families prefer the suburban feel because of the extra room and the slower pace. The trade-off there is walkability. In most suburban areas, you'll be driving to restaurants, stores, and activities instead of walking. Neither option is better. It really just depends on what kind of lifestyle you want day to day. Some people love being in the city, in the middle of it, while others prefer more space and a quieter environment. The key is figuring out which lifestyle fits you best before you start focusing on specific homes. Because sometimes the biggest decision isn't the house itself, it's the location and the lifestyle that comes with it. Tip 7, competition and offer strategy. One thing a lot of buyers assume right now is that the market has completely cooled off and competition is gone. But the reality is a little more nuanced than that. While the market isn't as intense as it was a few years ago, multiple offer situations still happen, especially when a home is priced well, updated, and in a desirable neighborhood. When the right property hits the market, there can be strong competition from other buyers who have been waiting for the same type of home. That's where offer strategy really matters. A lot of buyers immediately think they need to waive inspections or take huge risks to win a home, but that's not always the case. Most buyers today are still keeping inspection protections in place, but the way those inspections are structured can make a difference in how competitive your offer looks. For example, sometimes it's about shortening timelines, being flexible with the seller's needs, or making sure your financing and paperwork are extremely strong from the start. In competitive situations, the details of the offer matter just as much as the price. And this is where having a strong representation can really make a difference. An experienced agent can help you understand what the seller is likely prioritizing and position your offer in a way that stands out without taking unnecessary risks. Because in a competitive market, it's not always the highest offer that wins. It's usually the one that's structured the smartest. Tip 8, schools and community differences. One of the biggest things people ask about when they're moving to a new area is schools. And the first thing most buyers do is look up school rankings online. But here's something important to understand. Rankings alone don't tell the full story. Two schools might have very different ratings, but the communities around them, the lifestyle, programs offered, and the overall feel of the neighborhood can be completely different. What works for one family might not be the best fit for another. So instead of just looking at a number, I always recommend doing a little deeper research. A couple of great tools you can use are greatschools.org and niche.com. Both sites let you see school ratings, reviews from parents and students, test score data, and even information about extracurricular programs. You can also go directly to the local school district websites. They often share details about curriculum, specialty programs, enrollment boundaries, and upcoming school events. And when it comes to learning about the community itself, that's where local insight really helps. Look at the neighborhood Facebook groups, community events, nearby parks, local businesses, and even how active the area feels during different times of day. Those things can tell you a lot about what it's actually like to live there. If you're thinking about moving and want help understanding the different communities around here, I'm always happy to point you toward helpful resources and share what I see day to day in the market. Tip 9, outdoor lifestyle. Reality. One of the biggest reasons people move to Denver is the outdoor lifestyle. You hear it all the time. The mountains are right there. And that part is true. from most parts of the Denver metro area, you can be in the foothills in about 30 to 45 minutes and into the mountains not long after that. But there's a little bit of reality that people don't always hear before they move here. Most people don't end up going to the mountains every single weekend. Life gets busy, kids have activities, work schedules fill up, and sometimes you just want a slower weekend close to home. The other big factor is traffic. If you leave early in the morning, getting up to the mountains can be pretty smooth. But if you head out later on a Saturday morning, that same drive can take a lot longer than expected. Timing really matters here. What I see with a lot of people who truly take advantage of the outdoor lifestyle is they find ways to build it into their routine. Maybe it's hiking in the foothills after work, biking local trails, or heading up to the mountains a few times a month instead of every weekend. The good news is that Denver makes it easy to stay active outdoors even when you're not in the mountains. Parks, trails, golf courses, and open space are everywhere around the metro area. So, yes, the mountains are close. Just know the lifestyle is here is usually less about going every weekend and more about having incredible outdoor access whenever you want it. Tip 10, timing the market. Trying to time the real estate market is a little like trying to time the stock market. Sounds smart, but in reality, almost nobody gets it right. A lot of buyers tell me they're waiting for the perfect moment to buy. Maybe they're hoping prices drop, interest rates fall, or more homes hit the market. But here's the truth. The perfect moment usually only becomes obvious after it's already passed. Over the years, I've seen buyers wait on the sidelines, thinking prices would fall, and instead they watched prices climb. And I've also seen buyers jump in during uncertain moments and times in the market, lock in a home they love, and build equity while everyone else was still waiting. Real estate isn't about timing the market perfectly. It's about time in the market. If you buy a home that fits your budget, your lifestyle, and your long-term plans, the day-to-day headlines matter a lot less. Because historically, over time, real estate has continued to grow in value. So instead of asking, is this the perfect market? The better question is this the right time for you? If you're curious about what the market actually looks like right now, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to walk you through it. The best time to move is when it makes sense for your life, but you really need real data to make that decision. If you're planning a move to Denver metro area, whether you're relocating or moving locally, reach out anytime. I'm happy to walk you through your options and help you build a smart strategy.